I am excited because we get to talk duels and what is Star Wars but lightsabers swinging around, cutting people in half, and doing their thing. So, in order to do that, we got some awesome flow masters on here, and yeah, it's going to be an awesome conversation right here on the high ground. Hello and welcome everyone to the High Ground podcast. We are one guest short. Hopefully, she'll be joining us soon. If not, we'll get her another time. It's all good. It's all good. But let's start by introducing ourselves. We'll have you go around and say, who you are, where we can find your awesome content, and Father's Day is coming up, so I got to ask, who's the best dad in all Star Wars? Like, who do you wish was your dad in Star Wars? All right, I'll go to Akula first.
Best dad, and that's a hard one. I guess Mace. I would take Mace Windu as a father, because of how stern he is and how straight and narrow and to the point. I think, and I think that's a good. Those are good elements, especially for my upbringing. I needed those. I think people who lack those can appreciate them. Can appreciate those more. You need that kind of stern hand. And I think he'd be perfect for it.
That probably means that you are a dad yourself. I can't imagine people who aren't parents being like, you know what, someone who's stern and makes me follow the rules. Like
100% spot on.
But yeah, go ahead and introduce yourself and where can people find your content?
Oh, I am Inquisitor Akula. You can find me primarily on TikTok. I am working on a YouTube, but right now it's just TikTok only. So it's Inquisitor_Akula. Come see me.
Awesome flow master, awesome giving lessons and critiques. I'm still not quite there yet to step in that ring, but I wouldn't go toe to toe with any of y'all here. uh, Mark, how about you?
So what? Who I think the best dad in Star Wars would be?
Yeah, who would you want to be your dad?
You asked this before, so I thought about it a little bit already. I kind of thought about Kanan with his kind of adopted family, and I really like that character a lot. And I think it's really cool how he just has like a group of misfits, that he brings everybody together. I think it's awesome.
Solid choice.
Yeah. As far as like social media and stuff goes, I'm mostly on TikTok, I guess. I don't know. I'm mostly on Instagram, but nobody follows me on Instagram. But that's where I've been, is on Instagram. But Instagram and TikTok at Mark Does the Things.
Awesome. Yeah. So we got. Let's see here. Zalusa Mara is saying Maul, because apparently they're evil. I don't know. We're looking for a father, not a daddy. All right, that's different. It's different.
You see how Maul sit on the Mandalore, yeah, with the leg up, yeah.
And we got Darthman A6 saying Kanan as well. Master Binks says Vader. Talk about an authoritative father. Yeah, I just.
No, they're looking
just
for
want to
daddies.
survive. I just want to survive my childhood.
These are not.
So
he was a dad, and he was the villain. Like what?
They want spank me daddies. Not we're talking about fathers.
Vince Skywalker says Qui-Gon, which is honestly an excellent choice. Yeah. Ace Bronx says Din. He's very patient, very, very kind. I know I would have been frustrated quite a few times with little Grogu. I still, it's totally random, but I still don't quite understand how, like, all throughout the show when Grogu is walking, how he keeps up with everyone. He's got little tiny feet. Like, at least Luke would like scoop him and like move him, But like he's always anyways. Moving on to the news. Of course, there's not really any news, but we did get episode 4 of Kenobi dropping. I want to go around real quick and get your guys' thoughts on it, how you feel about the series overall, and how you feel about episode number 4. Yeah, what do you guys think?
I'm loving the series. I wasn't, like most people after the first episode, so many questions where we're going to go. But so far, there's been some extremely tense moments, some moments where that build of suspense. You're actually you don't know what's going to happen. There was that episode, the episode 3, where they're riding in the back of that truck. Like I was like, I don't know. I actually don't know what's going to happen. Like, is Kenobi going to survive this? But I know he's going to survive this. But I was like, this is bad. Like all of this is bad news. I love how they've been able to capture suspense in a story we already really know the ending to. We know where this is going, but you're still like, man, I was on the edge of my seat.
Yeah, absolutely. How about you, Mark?
I mean, so I'm gonna have the unpopular opinion that I didn't really care about wanting to watch a Kenobi show. I think it's cool that it happened, I guess, but like, I got an entire cartoon series, 4 movies with Obi-Wan Kenobi in it. What? I don't need that. For me, I like what's her name? Reva. How do you say it?
Yeah,
I like her. Yeah, I like her. She's probably the most interesting character to me on there. I know that's also an unpopular opinion, but I'm like, she's also one of the only new characters, and I think it's a lot of fun seeing her do like the parkour stuff. I like the costume, and it's cool. It's cool getting to see some stuff like that. I'll tell you what I don't like though. The Grand Inquisitor. Like, no thanks. I'm not even one of those like people that's like, I don't like how he looks. It ain't even that. The man is not the Grand Inquisitor. The Grand Inquisitor and I like Rebels. Rebels is my favorite like Star Wars thing after Disney, and the Grand Inquisitor is like an awesome character, and
right.
That ain't it.
we actually don't know what happened. There's something we know the ending to the Grand Inquisitor. We know what we saw is not his ending, so he's due to make a comeback. I'm excited.
So. I hope he does a good job with the comeback too, because like I'm not sold, man. Like as somebody that's a big fan of that character, that man didn't do nothing for me as the character, not at all. No thanks. Get out of here. Stay dead. Stay dead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
So he's gonna come back, right? And I think that's gonna be like a really big plot point. I think as soon as he comes back, now all of a sudden Reva's on the out. She's on the outskirts of the Empire of the Inquisitorius. They don't like her anyways. So I think she's gonna end up, at the end of her story, she's gonna really be in the same type of place as Obi-Wan, where no more support, no more backup or anything like that, and we'll have to find her way on her own. And I think that's kind of where her story is headed. At least that's my prediction. I haven't made my video on it just yet. I'm going to do that tonight. But episode 4 I think was my least favorite episode. I loved the It was there's just a few things that just kind of like took me out of it, but it doesn't mean it's a bad episode, and doesn't mean I didn't like it. So I gotta fully say that we get a lot of growth out of.
He said Obi-Wan. Filler. That's what he said. It's a filler episode. And when we only get 6 of them, filler's a big deal.
I don't know. I can't stand that word being used, because like the episodes that are slower because they give us the character growth, right? You have to have a constant so that you hold up the variables. If the person is changing, the scenery shouldn't be. And if the scenery is changing, then the person probably isn't, right? You usually get one or the other.
Right.
Obi-Wan, in last episode, Obi-Wan was like, we never should have trusted these people. We never should have done this. We never should have came out, right? This episode, he's trying to convince people to trust him. He's trying to convince people, just like he would never have done in the first 2 episodes. He went from being barely able to move the little thing to holding up the ocean. He went from he pulled out his lightsaber in fear last time. He pulled it out like a G this time, and I like seeing that progression.
Yeah, I saw rust. I saw when you see him when he first pulls it out, he's deflecting shots, but they're not going where he wants them to go. His first couple deflections, and then you see him start getting back into that rhythm, and then that style starts to come out. We saw that progression in just that scene alone. I love that.
Yeah, he's shaking the rust off, Yeah, absolutely. And then on top of that, so my prediction is I'm still banking that we're gonna get Qui-Gon's voice in here. He's gonna talk to Force Ghost Qui-Gon, and I think the ultimate thing that we're gonna run into is he's gonna be like, I'm not that guy anymore, and then Force Ghost Qui-Gon is gonna be like, good, you need to be a different guy. Like what you need to do has changed, and he's gonna face Vader again, and we're gonna get something similar to what we saw in the Maul fight. We're gonna get him start out the Surisu form, and then he's gonna choke up and do the Qui-Gon form, showing that he's hit another level. Vader's not fighting the same guy that he's been dreaming of fighting for the past 10 years. What the Jedi what they need is different now, and he's stepping up to that plate. That's what I'm thinking.
I was telling people that's why I think Vader let him go. Vader let him go because there's no prize in beating a battered man. He wants full-powered Kenobi. He wants the guy that took the high ground and chopped his limbs off. There's no point in chasing him now. He wants the prize.
Vader Goku, man. You just big Vader Goku.
He is. He's dramatic. He's apparently Jason Voorhees now. He can fucking teleport.
I still just picture anytime the camera moves, he's just like
he's sprinting.
No. That's the fastest moving Vader we ever seen, man.
I'm telling you, yeah. But yeah, I mean, overall, that's how I feel. Been loving the whole show though, so I'm happy we got it. I didn't need it, but I'm happy we got it. I'm looking forward to some other stuff, but
see, I'm with you on that. See, I know I started negative saying I didn't want it, but like I'm with you. I didn't want it. It's not what I wanted, but then I end up actually really enjoying it. Yeah. And I like how they've introduced some different characters and done some things like that. So it's I'm okay with it.
Let's see here. Akari says, I thought it was a decent episode. I think Jason Isaacs should have played the Grand Inquisitor. That made the Grand Inquisitor look bloated and not as intimidating. Listen, man, sometimes he ate some salty foods. He's a little puffy. Maybe him getting stabbed is what relieves the bloating, and when he's gonna come back, he's gonna be all like svelte.
So it's not even the look of him. Like I can get over that. Like I can get over because he don't quite look right. I'm fine with that. It's okay. It's the fact that he just ain't the character, man. Like he don't talk like him. He don't walk like the man. Like the character has a walk, And then they had a thing with the actor saying that he didn't even look at Rebels. Like obviously you didn't, because that ain't it.
Yeah,
he's gonna be at a con. He's gonna be at a con that I'm going to. I kind of want to go and be like, "Hey, man, that ain't it. That ain't it."
All right. So, lightning round, real quick. Helicopter sabers. Are you pro or against?
That depends.
Helicopter.
That depends. It used to grind my gears to see them like basically levitating with like no. But in what was that, episode 2, where we got the quick glimpse of him like just basically spinning, using it as a tool to like threaten. Absolutely. As a tool for intimidation, I love it. I do not want to see Inquisitors levitating. I don't want to see that.
In Rebels, when they used it, they did in the first season. He didn't fly with that thing. Only the Grand Inquisitor had one in the first season of Rebels, and he would use it like a boomerang. Like he'd throw it at him, and then it would come back to him and stuff like that. And that's dope. I think that's fun.
That was right. I agree.
But in the third season, I think it was the third season of Rebels, there was another dude. I can't remember his name. He was like the next Inquisitor that was only in that one season. that boy was flying around with it, and like,
yeah,
I hated it. It's terrible. I'm not a fan of the flying with it, but they
now
got
the further explanation of, okay, there's like light repulsors in the handle, and then the blade spinning is just the stabilizer. And like, okay, that's I can get with that, but it just feels weird of like, I have to go, my people need me, and you're like,
Well, we're talking about dueling and stuff on this, right? So, like, in one of the fights, but I always remember this. One of the fights between the Grand Inquisitor and Kanan, they're locked up, right? He's got them all locked up, and he puts the guard around while they're locked up, and then pops out the second blade and just starts spinning, and it like goes thunk, 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 like a ceiling fan, and knocks the saber back, and he like stumbles back and does that whole number, and I always remember that. Like, I thought that was cool. That's a cool use for that.
No, there is definitely cool uses for it. I got the Jedi Ninja in here. He said not a fan. It's pretty close to a fan.
It is a fan.
See?
It could be a fan. It could be.
But I love it. No, I'm in the same boat. I feel like it's just a wildly impractical design, because if I'm holding this thing and it's spinning, you have to be holding it straight, because there's no movement you can do without just chopping off your whole body, you know. Like,
there's a thing about this that bugs me too, and I can't speak on it as much as Akula probably could, because you have one of those the mini double-sided sabers with the little handle. You have one of those, yeah? I don't have one of those. I absolutely have to have the full handle if I'm using a staff. Using a double-sided little saber like that, you trying to fight with it, you can flow with it just fine, but you try and fight with it, you're gonna look stupid.
Oh, no. Not at all. That's gonna be a bad day.
You to use it like that. It's a no-go, you know.
Sounds like y'all need to get your wrist strength up, you know.
That's a bad day.
Well, that's where the spinning comes in. I guess they can use it like a weird. I don't know, man. Like, it's Star Wars. It don't make sense. Nothing makes sense. It's all just fun.
And that's what we always come down to. It's the rule of two, the rule of cool, right? It's the rule
of
sell
the toys, man. That's what it is. You gotta sell the toys.
Yeah.
Sell the toys.
All right, so y'all are flow masters. I gotta ask, when did that happen? How did it happen? And like, what you guys have who inspired you to get started? Tell me about it. Mark, go ahead. You go first.
You want me to go first? All right, sweet. So I'll tell you a little story. Like, I got my first lightsaber. So all right, so Disney got Star Wars and stuff, and they started making that movie. I didn't even know that movie was happening. Like, I found out that there was a new movie coming out like Halloween, and I'm like, sweet, there's a new Star Wars movie. People have been waiting for years. I'm like, sweet, a new Star Wars movie is coming out. It's gonna be out like next month. So I got my own little Jedi costume I threw together, and I got my first Ultra Saber, stunt saber from Ultra Sabers. Nice. And I took it out to. I live in South Carolina at Myrtle Beach. They have a big party, like a huge party out there, Halloween party, and I went out there and I did some lightsaber tricks and stuff, and I had people watching me. I was terrible, man. I didn't know what I was doing, but you know what? I have a crowd, and that's all I cared about. I got some attention, so I stuck with it, and that was when I started. Was probably just a few months before The Force Awakens came out. There's a dude named Daniel Lane. So I'm gonna rewind back in the day. He used to be the poster boy for Saberforge. If you guys remember the guy that used to do the tricks with the Saberforge ads and stuff, we're talking like 7 years ago, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, Daniel was a big inspiration for me. I spent a lot of time watching him, learning how to do the footwork and stuff like that. So like, I always like to give a shout out to Daniel, because I think he's like he's the old school. He was one of the first ones doing it with the lightsabers like
that. I'll have to check him out. Oh, and Jedi Ninja says Daniel Lane is one of his best friends, so that's awesome.
Hey.
He's the man. You can look up the hashtag "Put Daniel in Star Wars" on Instagram, and there's all kinds of cool stuff. Like, Daniel's the man. He really is.
Oh, he said he taught at the Saberforge Academy with him. That's dope.
Yeah, he's a super nice guy. He was in the Marines too. Like, he does Saber Legion. Like, he fights too. He does flow. He fights for real. It's a tough little dude. He's a man. He really is.
And Carly actually just got back to me because she's insanely jet lagged and all this stuff from traveling. So she's not hopping on this time. But I do have another flow master I've been wanting to bring on, and we got my boy Ven Skywalker as well. Um, yeah, I'll have Akula. You go ahead and go, and we'll let Ven get a chance to like get his bearings. But then afterwards, I'll have him introduce himself, go through the spiel, and then let us know how he got started with his flow. But go ahead, Akula.
Gotcha. So I've been doing Taekwondo for 15 plus years now. I'm a little bit on the older side, but yeah, I was always the lead or the stunt coordinator for the demo teams. So bow staff and chucks were always my primary. They were my go-to if I wanted to win some shows. I'm pretty sure there's still some old videos of me like doing my thing, but I don't want to embarrass myself. I'm also a really, really good tricker. Well, was. I've gotten heavy now. Like 40, 50 pounds ago, I was an awesome tricker. But
I just seen you do that butterfly twist the other day, man. I don't want to hear it.
it's not what it used to be.
Good
I
enough.
appreciate it though. I appreciate it, but it's not what it used to be. I can feel it.
I used to be really into parkour, and I feel you on that one. That's I still feel like I could probably do a back. No, I can't. Nah.
So I've always loved Star Wars, and I never, for whatever reason, it never made sense to blend the two. But I saw the Ultra Sabers ad, like most people, and I got my first Ultra Saber for ridiculously overpriced, and I was
They got
spinning
the best ad team, man. I don't know what they do, but like you look at anything Star Wars,
everywhere.
you
You Google anything, Ultra Sabers is right there. Like what the fuck? And I was spinning out in the front yard, and my 13-year-old comes out, and she's like, "You need to put that on TikTok." And I was like, "You think people will like this?" She was like, "People would love that." And one of the first people who kind of reached out to me was Michelle C. Smith, and I can never get her name out right without that lisp. And I know I had some beef with Michelle for a little bit.
Who, me?
But yeah, she had that little I guess she wasn't getting the return on her videos.
Yeah. Listen, I'm all right. We're on the podcast. I'm not interrupting your story, but I'm gonna come in on this. I got some input on it. So that's fake. That was fake. All right. She hit me up and said she was gonna take the video down, and I'm like, nah, Michelle, don't take the video down. Let me play the bad guy and fire back, And I'm gonna just say it. I feel like her response to my response was very lackluster. And I'm gonna throw some shade. I'm gonna throw some shade right now. There's a reason she's a stunt woman and not an actor.
Hey.
Let her come for me. Come on, Michelle. Let's keep it going.
Michelle was a fantastic spinner, and trying to incorporate Taekwondo bow staff into a more flashy kind of show style of spinning was a nice hump for me to get over. But I referenced a lot of her. I don't want to say I stole her movements, but I referenced a lot of hers to kind of develop my own style, my own kind of look to my spinning. And I think I was successful at it, because now when I'm watching other people, or some people come up on my For You page, I can tell when they've been watching my tutorials. It's like, that looks like me. I recognize that flair.
You got setups that you do. You got specific setups you do. When I see somebody doing those specific setups, I'm like, they've been watching him.
That's awesome. Well, how about you, Ven? Thank you for coming on last minute. I've been wanting to get you on here for a really long time. So, and I'll do it on more topics as well. But yeah, go ahead and introduce yourself. And so I have a list of questions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who are you, and where can we find your awesome content? Who's the best dad in Star Wars? And yeah, how did you get started, becoming a flow master?
Gotcha. So yeah, my real name is Joe, but I go by Ven Skywalker, mostly on TikTok. I started Twitter recently, so because a lot of Star Wars news comes up there quickly. Trying to get Instagram going, but mostly I'm on TikTok right now. Sorry, what were the other questions?
Oh, best dad.
Best dad, yeah. So I know I mentioned Qui-Gon earlier. He comes in my second spot. So I would have to go with Kanan first. Because like when I started Rebels, like I was introduced to like all the entire Ghost crew, and then something about him just like I don't know, there's like a certain vibe to him that like I really like get along with. And he's kind of like the authoritative figure that I want to like emulate,
Yeah.
especially like at work when I'm in like a position of like authority. So like ever since I watched that show like a few years ago, like I always try to like follow like the steps that like he's taken to be a good like father or figure to like those under him. So he's a really cool dude. He's actually my favorite Jedi too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Solid dude. And then real quick before I get your story on tricking and becoming a G, I just got the question and I lost it. So Zalusa Mira asks, what happened to Carly. The full explanation is, so we got to hang out for a bit during Celebration in California. She was staying out there for a while and flying back yesterday. I think she's on the East Coast, but the time difference can be a bit of a beast, and she's just out of it. So she's going to come on another time. So sorry if that's why you came, but hopefully we're entertaining enough to keep you around. I like to think we are. But yeah, Vin, what got you started? I assume Ultra Sabers. If I'm
so
gotta
my
follow the
lightsaber
creams with the rest of us.
now Ultra Saber comes later in my story. My saber flow started when I was like a lot younger. So it started when like around the time Attack of the Clones came out. And then they were making these like Anakin lightsabers. They were like the flick out ones. The one that I got was like they don't make those like that anymore. It did light up, it had sound, but the blade itself doesn't go like all the way into the hilt. There's always like this section that will stay out.
Yeah.
But
Hold
basically
on.
like that's
I
basically
might have
what
one.
Oh yeah?
I
Oh
think I
yeah.
have one.
Yeah, no way.
Hey,
Yeah,
man.
I have no idea what happened to mine. I miss it actually. Because that thing was a freaking tank. Like 8-year-old me would just like wail on it, everything with it. Let me see. Yeah, yeah,
The Darth Vader
something
one.
like it. Yeah,
Hold
yeah.
on, wait, will it work?
I basically had the Anakin, like the light side Anakin version, basically.
Oh, it's limp. Limp.
Yeah.
I promise that doesn't happen. Oh, let's try again.
Yeah.
Hey, it's a stressful
There we go.
situation.
Yeah, there you go.
It's
Yeah.
got like I don't know if you guys can see it, but there's like a little plunger in there, like a stopper,
Yeah.
and it shoots
Mhm.
that out. Yeah, I got the
Yeah.
mace.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's what got me started. Well, originally I was just hitting crap. And then like as I got older, like I kept watching the movies more and more. So then I would like study like the movements of like the characters like Anakin, Obi-Wan, Mace sometimes too. And then from there, then that's what pretty much got me started. And then I took up martial arts. So like I think Element mentioned like that I know Eskrima, Kali, stuff like that. And then like at the time like from then to like now Star Wars was practically like my entire personality, so then I would try to incorporate lightsabers with it. And it wasn't until like a couple of years before COVID my first like actual like real like full contact lightsaber was actually ultra sabers. Because like you guys said, like you Google lightsabers, that's the first shit that comes up. So I was like, oh cool, all right, I'll check this out. It wasn't until after I got it that's when I saw all like the reviews about it and like how they treated their staff, stuff like that. So I'm like, all right, I just got this one, not gonna buy from them again. It broke like 3 months in, so yeah.
Oh
And
man.
then yeah, And then after that, I found Master Allen, and everything is perfect.
I mean, I'm one of those older folk as well. I when I was coming up, the closest thing you had to a lightsaber was when you went to the fair and they had those flashlights and with a different colored tip. Like that's the closest thing you ever saw to a one. And so it was either that or a broom handle. But yeah,
Oh,
no,
no.
I actually got started with one time I was hanging out in San Francisco and picked up some training nunchucks, and I was like, "This is cool. I like this," and that's how I learned how to Obi-Wan. And that's why I think you're kidding if you don't think staff translates to a lightsaber at all. It may not be the best root weapon, but it's not like nothing.
I think it's the best root weapon, personally.
Oh.
That's where we start. All of our white belts all start on staff.
Interesting. Yeah, and that's kind of how they do it in the Old Republic too, and some of those things. I have Pep Element 7 has died in the Force here. He says, "Cool. I don't like to assume, but all Asians know spin form from a scream like Cali." That's where Element 7 got his start as well.
Yeah. Because like I'm Filipino, so like that's basically like our national martial art. So I was eventually like bound to learn it, like one way or another.
The footwork for it is second to none. I think
Fantastic.
that the diamond footwork is just it's so dope. It just works so well for so many different things.
For sure, yeah, it's awesome.
And we're getting more confirmation that it's a thing. But all right, well let's start talking about duels in Star Wars. You know, what makes a duel a good duel to you guys? Like, what is it about it?
Every duel in Star Wars has a point. There's whether it's a battle of perspective, a battle of emotion, there's a point to be conveyed in all of Star Wars duels. Whether or not we like the point is irrelevant, but there is Star Wars fights aren't just fights because they're fights. There's always a message being conveyed between the two parties in the fight. And that's honestly one of the best things about lightsaber duels. It's not just two people beating each other with a light stick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel that as well. I mean, there's certain things where it kind of feels. There's certain shows and movies where it feels like the fights are a break in between the story. Of like, hey, look at this cool thing, and then we'll get back to the story later. And I like that they are the story. The fights are the culmination of the story.
100%.
Yeah.
How about you guys? And you guys can just jump out and talk. We're conversational here.
Well, I have a question. Do you guys have any like outside of Star Wars? Do you have like a sword fight or a duel that is like something that really stands out to you in some other fandom or something?
I know I do, but on the spot, give me a second. I got
a good one. I got a good one. One that I'm a real big fan of. I'm not super crazy about the movie, but you guys ever seen The Last Samurai?
Yeah.
Yes.
Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
That movie, like, I don't care if you like the movie. That movie's got some dope choreography in it.
Oh yes.
It's got some
For sure. Yeah.
clean fight stuff in that movie.
And was
like the trading scene? So good.
Was that kendo or kenjutsu? I can't. But the forms are perfect.
I think it's kendo, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. But that movie has some great stuff. A friend of mine and I talked about ripping off some of the choreography from that movie and try to do our own stuff with it. It's good.
His training scene when like he had to draw with like I always forget the character's name, but like that was chef's kiss. I would like rewind like that specific part of the movie just to like get the choreography down in my living room.
See, that's what's cool about it though, is that movie had some realistic stuff to it.
It was very realistic.
Yeah.
It was very grounded.
If you watch something like, you guys ever watch that movie that had Brad Pitt? What is it, Troy? Where he's out there doing like the Superman punch with a sword and stabbing the dude in the neck, like doing some wild stuff. Like that's cool too. But like it's not cool for the same reason.
No.
I was an
Not
idiot and
historically
tried. I was an idiot and tried to utilize the Superman stab in like an
Yeah.
actual fight. It worked like once, and that was because he was like looking away from me.
Well, you knew Kali, so in Kali they'll use the stick. They'll use the flat end of the stick and just knock somebody in the neck.
Yeah,
you know?
they
So
will.
it works.
Just not
Throw it
not
like a
that
punch.
way.
It's not the
You'll throw it like a
Superman.
punch.
Yeah.
So for me, I was like, should I say this? All right, screw it, I'm gonna say it. Samurai
Say
Champloo, the anime.
The GOAT. That is GOAT. That is a
I-
goated
Mhm.
anime.
I love it so much. I mean, I don't believe most of it is realistic, but you know, when he's breakdancing or jumping on top of people's faces with his wooden shoes, you know. But the characters' fighting styles were very much based off of their personalities, and it shown through in every single thing that they did. And I know that's what I like. That's what draws me in. But then again, I'm not the martial artist like y'all are. So I'm just trying to get a feel for you guys.
No, that was good. No, Samurai Champloo's choreography and animation wise was top notch.
Yeah.
Top notch.
Mhm.
How about you, Van?
So my favorite duel, well, outside of Star Wars media,
Yeah.
there's this one duel that like I'm trying to recreate with another creator, Emily. It's from The Princess Bride. I think it's like the Hills of Insanity, Cliffs of Insanity, I believe. Because like I'm always a sucker for like a good swashbuckling fencing fight. So
Yeah.
like that, Pirates of the Caribbean also. That's it has some of my favorite duels there. But like The Princess Bride was one of the first like actual like sword fights that I saw like from a young age. And that, but like, and it also like I also wanted to take up fencing because of it, but like I never did. But like any duel like that, it's always aesthetically pleasing to me to watch at least, even though like I don't understand like fully like all the maneuvers they're doing. But it's pretty cool.
Ah, all right. Count Dooku fan as well. I'm
Mm.
imagine.
Oh, for sure.
And I have Pep in the chat. Udrill's fight with Tom's character with Boken was awesome. Rurouni Kenshin, and I don't know if you've seen the live action one too. It plays. It's the best live action anime conversion in my opinion.
That's a solid one. That's a solid one.
Have you guys seen Seven Samurai though?
Yes, that matter of fact, that DVD is like right around here somewhere.
I've
That was
seen
it.
literally every adaptation of Seven Samurai, but not Seven Samurai itself. I have seen all media reference to it from like Mando to like the Magnificent Seven, but I've never seen Seven Samurai. I was like, damn it.
It's good. It's a good watch.
I'm gonna probably watch it tonight.
Awesome.
What was the original question? I'm sorry, I hijacked it.
Brett's favorite Star Wars duel.
Oh,
And then we
okay.
went off Star Wars media.
Yeah, well, we were talking about
My bad, I'm sorry.
what makes the duel special.
Ah,
You know,
What
what
makes
makes
it
it
special.
a duel. Yeah, what do you?
Special.
I got that one. I want to answer that. So I was thinking about this a lot because I had to figure out because I like a lot of the duels, and I know Akula says that it's really the stakes of the duel and things like that, right?
Yeah.
More than just the fight. But see, I'm over here like thinking about it because we do like a lot of stage stuff, live lightsaber fights and stuff like that. I'm sometimes looking at the performers and what they're doing in the fight, and that stuff stands out to me. But one of the things that gets me is like the sounds and the music, right? I'm gonna use this. Not even a real lightsaber fight, but it's from The Mandalorian when Din Djarin's like fighting Moff Gideon, and Moff Gideon's just whooping his ass with the thing, and it's just making them thump. Like, and there's just this beat going behind it, you know, from the Dark Trooper theme, and it's just so good. There's like the pings of the Beskar. Oh, it's good. Good stuff.
The dubstep troopers. Yeah.
It's a good scene, and that makes stuff stand out to me. You know what I mean? Like if the lightsabers aren't making those cool noises, if there's not some impact to it, I get uninterested pretty quick. You know?
That's cool.
Right.
I like that. I like that. How about you, Ben? What draws you in?
For me, like it used to be like just the flashiness and cool maneuvers of it when I was younger. But then like as I started maturing, like for me it's like the emotional weight behind like the saber fight itself. Good
This man
example I
just said,
liked.
I got no maturity. Is what this man just said. He just threw me under the bus.
No, nothing like that. Nothing like that. No, like a duel I always use as like an example is like between Obi-Wan and Anakin in episode 3. So it's basically like these two guys are like brothers. Like they know each other's like movements. They know like the tones of each other's voices, what they're thinking without even saying it. So then to have them pitted against each other, normally like I would see duelists like think about like 1 or 2, 3 moves ahead to get around their opponent. These guys are thinking like 7 steps ahead just to see like what they could do to like outmaneuver each other and then which leads up to like the whole like standoff. Like at one point when they're in the room, they're just wailing on each other and they're just like blocking every strike. Yeah. Freaking
So
clothesline him and
wanna-
everything.
While you're talking about that particular fight, I have some input on that fight. I have a lot of thoughts on that particular duel myself. From a performance perspective, I know most of the stuff in that fight because we've done it. We've used it in some capacity, right? That entire fight scene, I'm telling you, man, you cannot choreograph anything using the system that they used that Nick Gillard did for that movie. You cannot choreograph anything that is not in that fight. You'll think, oh, I'm going to do this combo. No, it's already there. They already did it. They already did it backwards.
They already did it.
Yeah.
They already did it. It's all there. Like the whole, like anything you can do. I actually was trying to do my own because my guy would get on me. He was like, quit doing the movie stuff. Make our own stuff. You know, he was getting on me about it. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to make my own stuff. I made it. And then I go back and look at it and I'm like, this is just the thing Anakin did, but I'm just doing it the other direction. and that's the way that fight is. And
that duel was like 5 minutes long. They covered a lot of ground. They covered a lot. That's a lot of choreography.
There's so many beats in that fight that it's absolutely mad.
If I'm not mistaken, I think it's like it holds like the world record for like the longest on-screen duel.
Yeah, I believe it. I'm not even kidding you guys. Like I'm telling you, like every combo I've ever tried to put together, it's already there. It's already there, man.
All right. Well, then, what makes a duel bad?
All right, I'm gonna tell you my least favorite duel. I'm gonna talk too much. I don't care. I talk a lot. My least favorite duel.
That's cool. Never seen you talk before. So.
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you. I need to talk more. That needs to be my new thing. I talk a lot. I'm not Silent Bob. But my least favorite duel, and they're gonna come at me for this. I love Rey and I love Kylo, but I hate Episode 9's duel with Rey and Kylo. I hate it. I hate it a lot.
On the Death Star.
Because Kylo trips over his own 2 feet. The first thing the man does is he does a twirl, and I'm like, this boy does not know how to move his hands and his feet at the same time. He's good in standing still, but he can't move his feet and his hands at the same time. Watch even when he's Ben, like when he's doing the Ben Solo thing, he plants his feet and does all the cool moves. He can't do it with his feet. Anyway, so after Kylo almost trips over himself twice, then they got the most uninteresting set where it's just gray with water flying everywhere. And then the lightsaber sound effects are just like limp dick lightsaber sound effects. There's no thunk to it, you know. They're never gonna invite me back.
No, I love it. And
it's just uneventful. Like they start flying around and it's uneventful. It's boring. And then like all of a sudden he's dead. Cool. Sweet.
Okay.
It's a bad lightsaber fight, guys.
It makes perfect sense if like I mean what you said is the music, the sound, the scenery, and if that's what gets you going, then I definitely follow that. How about you guys? What pulls you out of the fight?
It's hard if you've ever done any choreography yourself, especially when you're like, if you see like a lot of fishing, you see a lot of guys reaching. So for me, when I first saw the throne room scene on camera, like in the movies, I was like, oh no. Like I was seeing things happen, and I was like, oh. But I didn't want to ruin it for anybody because I knew, and I went with my wife, and she was loving it. Like she was enjoying it. I just was like, yeah. And you see guys fishing, you see guys go to strike, and then it cuts away, and then it cuts back to the scene, and they're not striking anymore. They're pulling their punches. I'm like, oh no.
Yeah.
Like I was like, I hated the fact that like there's a certain amount of mistakes in any set that you're going to watch, right? So there's that what's it called? I want to say like plausible deniability, but that's not the term. Suspense, where you can there we go. Yeah, like, okay, I can accept that. But then there's a level where, like, for people who know what they're looking for, you're going to cross that line. You're gonna be like, oh no, I can't do this. Nah, this is bad. There's a level.
Watch Kylo not move his feet. Watch Kylo.
Now I'm gonna go look for it. Now I'm gonna see it happen. It's gonna stick out like a fucking sore thumb, and I'm gonna be like, that shit's stupid.
He'll be moving his head like he's Neo in the Matrix. He got head movement, but he can't move his leg.
Now it's gonna be one of those things like in episode 5 where Luke jumps in the thing, but you see his head pop up at the last second. Where like now you see that every single time.
Every time you watch it,
it's like
the force kick.
See it.
I have a lot of those throughout Star Wars, and I mean for me they don't really. It doesn't really take things away from it because I'm more focused on the story that's being told. Like throne room fight specifically for me has the issue that everything where you have 8 people fighting one person has, you can't win that fight, like not realistically.
No.
You know what I mean?
Or at least you have to take at least like one hit.
Yeah. To me, it's like the same thing as like, when you watch a James Bond movie and he's running down the street and there's snipers all over the place and he's picking them off with a little pea shooter, and these trained snipers on like, stabilizers and stuff can't do
it. It's in the script, man. That's the way it is.
Yeah, so like it follows the same thing, but you're right. It's a suspension of disbelief, and you saying that about the fight is me whenever there's hacking scenes when people are like, I'm in the mainframe, and you're like,
I got into their firewall.
I'm in. Like, that's not. In what?
That's not how any of this works. That's not how any.
Homie, you access their public Wi-Fi router. Like, calm down. How about you, Ben? What takes you out of the fights?
It's similar to Akula when because like I had a similar problem with the throne room scene in theaters also. Like the second it started, like right from the get-go, I started like nitpicking like how I would have done things differently. And then the one that always gets me is like when Kylo like stabs down on like a trooper, and then the second incoming trooper like strikes him, not on his body, which is completely exposed, but like on the blade that's like stuck inside a trooper right now. I was like, homie, you could have gone for a head strike. It was right there.
You literally had his whole side of your body.
Like I was like Thanos. It was like you should have gone for the head. Like what? But yeah, and then from there, like I was like, I just kept nitpicking like from there on out. And meanwhile, like my friends are like overly hyped off to like my left. So I was like, I'm not gonna say shit.
Exactly,
right
they were
now.
loving it. You're just like,
yeah. I'll
and
tell them my thoughts later.
It would have been so easy to choreograph yourself out of that. Like it wouldn't have been hard to fix that. Most of the issues that we have are like, okay, just change this. Hey, just move this around. Hey, have the angle be this direction. That way, this looks like this from the perspective of the audience, and you would have been just fine. But it's just like they were like, it's all happening too fast. They don't care. They don't give a fuck. That's just what it seemed like.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's a whole scene where like doesn't the dude's weapon just disappear completely? in the middle of the fight. Like he's got a weapon and then it's just gone and then he's dead. Like, cool.
I thought I was seeing things with that one, but then like I saw a YouTuber like point that out, and I was like, oh, that was real. Okay.
Yeah.
It did happen.
But here's my question though, because some of those types of issues happen just throughout everything, and 100%. I'm curious about, is it that we got interested in dueling because of like the Battle of the Heroes, so we didn't notice it then, and then now we notice it, like because like Anakin and Obi-Wan dead ass switch lightsabers at one point in the fight, and there are scenes, as much as I love the Obi-Wan scene, you're like, hit him.
No, they're standing there body to body. Yeah, they're standing there right in front of each other. Fucking 100%.
Yeah.
Right after
at one point, the Peter Pan part where they're like fucking swing on the ropes, I was like, what am I watching? What has this turned into?
I always complain about that.
It turned into fucking Captain Hook versus Peter Pan. I was like, what is this? It was like, hey, these guys are tired. We have no, like, yes, they reused that same set like 2 or 3 times in that fight. The fight kind of devolves a few times, like, where you're just like, what's happening here? How do we get here? All right, cool. Like, I 100% nitpick the Revenge of the Sith fight all the time, but it was just flashy enough that you were able to be like, all right, cool. All right,
there's so much cool stuff happening so fast. You just forgot about
so much happening.
Yeah.
You're just like, okay, you can suspend it, right? You're like, okay, that's cool.
No, I guess I like, am I the weirdo here? Because like I'm still enjoying it, but I see Anakin dive across and bring a saber, but Obi-Wan's already gone. He got up and he left, and he still hits the console like it's gonna do something.
Might as well. He don't want to go for it. He can't embarrass himself. He's got to follow through.
And then Obi-Wan goes down on his lightsaber, and you're like,
yes.
Hit him.
He's right there, body exposed. Should have chopped him.
But
you don't want to kill him. You don't want to kill him. That's what it is. He gotta knock the lightsaber away so he can. I don't know.
Yeah, and that's absolutely my headcanon. I also think about Mace Windu versus Darth Sidious. And
can we not think about that at all? Can we just not think about that?
In the whole beginning, he has Anakin's lightsaber for some reason as well, and that's one of those things I just can't unsee.
Well, you know what I can't unsee is Ian McDermott's face while he's like,
or like the weird faces when he's like at the broken window trying to stab at it. I was like, I used to have nightmares about that actually. Like 8-year-old me was not having a good time after that movie.
I was like you're right. You're editing, right? You've got not even editing. Fuck it, that's too late in the game. You're directing this scene, and you've seen his face. You don't go over to him like, "Hey, Ian, just dial it back just a little bit, my man. I like where you're going. I like the enthusiasm, but let's bring it back to about a 5. We're at about a 10."
I would have been like, he's having too much fun, so like, here's a mask, buddy. just put this on.
I mean, but have you not heard George Lucas's most common direction that he gives for actors? All he tells them is
more intensity,
faster, more intense, and Dixon download that scream and then the 1080 flip. That
was hilarious.
I feel like back then, like Cool Borders had just come out, 1080 snowboarding, and I saw that and I was like, that was so dope. When I was, that age.
In my mind, that didn't really happen. Like that, he didn't jump out of his seat and just fucking.
Just like,
it's not real. We all made it up in our mind.
Psycho Crusher. You're just like, oh, I didn't know he could do that.
He did Fang over Fang from fucking. He did the key move from.
It's like hitting a combo on like your controller and like you didn't even know it could happen. I was like, wait, what? And then like you spam that stupid combo because you discovered it for like the first time.
And he smoked Kit Fisto. He just fucking smoked him. He smoked his
Yeah.
boots like the first
Yeah,
time.
after watching Clone Wars, I was like, damn, the disrespect Mr. Fisto had. Like, what is this?
Just smoked him. It's like,
Hey, we got
oh wow.
Pi
Like,
in the chat.
jeez.
Hello. Pi typically comes on our Died in the Force podcast on Saturday, so nice to see Pi hanging out here. But lightning round, really quick. If you had to pick your favorite sound for the lightsaber, whose ignition has the best sound? What do you guys think? And y'all in the chat, please answer as well.
The best sound.
It's the saber from Fallen Order.
Yeah, I was literally thinking about
All of them from Fallen Order sound good. But I really like the Second Sister. I think Second Sister is pretty dope.
Yeah, I like
that whole sound font is amazing.
I like Cal's because like his ignition is like very subtle.
Yeah,
right.
And then even when like you retract the blade too, it's like same thing. It's awesome. And like I have that sound font on like my sabers too from Master Allen, and that's like my default now because like I just find it so satisfying.
Yeah, I go Darksaber. I mean,
Darksaber's my second actually.
Especially the sound font. I think I like the sound font more than like the sound in. It's the same sound obviously, but I get like serotonin when I first hear the you have something I want, and then you ignite it and you're like, it has that kind of ethereal ghosty sound. I love it.
I'm gonna go with Fracture. I'm gonna go with Kylo Ren's. That dirty something about it just sounds filthy. It sounds like it's done bad things to people.
It has. You ain't wrong.
I love it. I like it. You can tell that there's a broken kyber crystal in that lightsaber, and it needs help, and he does not give a fuck. Like I love it.
Yep. Pep L7 is agreeing with you. Jedi Ninja was gonna say Kylo's too. Dixon Jones said, just finished Plagueis. How is Sidious that good? He never really trained in combat that much. In that book, he's just built different, okay? The first time he uses the Force, he like tears up his whole family, he's ripping off bulkheads. Like he's just built different in that book.
He's fucking Space Voldemort. Like that's just
literally
what he is. He's like designed. He was born to be a fucking James Bond villain from the jump.
I never read that book, but I remember hearing a line where like Palpatine's dad like takes him in his arms and he's like, I never knew like what evil was until I looked at this baby's face or something like that. Yeah. And I was literally like, so you didn't eat the baby? You could have saved the whole galaxy. Like, damn, bro. Follow your instincts.
No, that's actually pretty crazy part because he's like still a teenager and he's like, Dad, you never loved me, and he's like laying into his dad, and his dad was like, the second you were born, I could tell you wanted to kill me. Like, and Palpatine's like, yeah,
boy, was you
right. Yeah. Kind of right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
True. All right, so in everything, all Star Wars, could be comic book, TV, movie, animated, whatever. I said to think of your top 4 duels and want us to go 4 up and 1. I said 4 because I assume we're gonna share. We'll probably end up sharing quite a few of them.
Right.
What do you got in your number 4 spot? I'll go to Mark first, and I'll let Vin think of his top 4.
Yeah, so I know you asked me ahead of time, so I tried to think about this, and it's hard to pick, man. But I feel like number 4 for me is I was talking about the Mandalorian, that fight. I don't know if that counts. It's
absolutely.
A lightsaber counts. It's a fight, and I like that scene a lot. It's not got some brilliant choreography behind it, but it's good. It's a good scene, and it has some pretty cool stuff going on. But that's number 4 for me, I think.
Absolutely, love it. And then for me, my number 4, I'm gonna say is probably a little off the beaten path. I'm gonna say it was. Oh my goodness! Now why can't I think of his name? Oh, that is upsetting to me. But Sabine in Rebels, when Sabine fights at her homestead.
Was that Gar Saxon?
Yeah, when she fights Gar Saxon.
Yeah.
Not even more force sensitive. It's a duel of just skill and a duel of just will. And in the end, I don't know. You just yeah. That's Sabine and Pre Vizsla. Or it's just the emotion behind it. You know, just really sticks out to me.
Number 4 for me would be Dooku versus Asajj and the assassins they sent to kill him. So he's sick, poisoned, and he is fighting for his life, but he is still handling fucking business.
In his pajamas. He got the silk pajamas on, whooping their ass.
Yeah, the bad man.
Pajamas are nicer than any clothing I own.
Took all the smoke in the jammies. No one else could.
Only way would have been better if he also had a robe and like a pipe, you know.
100%.
How about you, Ben?
For me, it also comes from the Mandalorian. It's with Ahsoka and the Magistrate.
Oh,
because
I share that one.
Because one, seeing Ahsoka fight in live action, chef's kiss. I've been waiting for that. And then also the fact that the Magistrate was like Bruce Lee's goddaughter, and Bruce Lee was like one of the figures I've spent studying when growing up with martial arts. So that was just like a whole fan service to me, at least personally. Yeah. And then the sound
the episode was shot was beautiful.
And then the sounds the saber blades would make against the Beskar when they hold it. That sound lives in my head rent free too.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. All right. And we have Dixon Downloads number 4 is Return of the Jedi, Luke versus Vader. For me, that's much higher, but
same for me.
We'll be getting there. All right, number 3s. What do you guys got for your number 3 picks?
I'm sharing that Ahsoka. Yeah, I'm sharing that Ahsoka versus the Magistrate. Fantastic.
Yeah. For me, number 3 is I know this is maybe an unpopular one. At least at the time that it happened, it was pretty unpopular. But I really like in The Force Awakens, Kylo and Rey's fight in that movie. I know I just shit all over the one in 9, but I'm telling you guys, go back and watch this. Watch it in 7. It is so cool to me to see him fighting Finn. You know, there's the fight with Finn. There's these great sound effects. There's the stab in the chest with the cross. He uses the cross guard. Adam Driver in that movie has all these little this is me being the cosplayer and the stage person. Adam Driver in that movie he has a way of walking. He has a way of handling. He spins the saber before he does this. He has this big wind up that he does, the twirl, the cape, his robe flares out when he does all this stuff. It's really cool, and it doesn't get enough credit. And the fight looks like a fight. It looks like a fight. She's stabbing because she fights with a staff. So she's stabbing with this thing. She don't know how to use it. So
she's running most of the fight, just a dead sprint, and he's like, nope.
It's a dope fight. I love that scene. And the sabers, if you look at it compared to the prequels, they're not swinging 100 miles an hour. There's weight behind these swings, and he hits a tree, the whole tree falls down. You know what I mean? It's cool like that. Sorry, I wasn't trying to interrupt.
No, you're good. My favorite aspect of that fight in particular is just the pure primal animalistic nature of it. There's no form. They're just going at each other, and like you said, it actually has weight this time, unlike previous movies and shows before it. And that was actually very refreshing to see too.
I would like you guys to watch that fight and then watch the one in 9. and then look at the sounds that are there, the footwork that's there. It's night and day, and it's like, what happened? What happened here? Like, somebody really thought this first one out, and like it's beautiful too, like the snow and the color of the blades and everything.
Sure,
I think that's actually the first time we got the aura from the blades where they actually changed the color of the surroundings. Yeah, I think that was the first time that happened.
Especially when they like lock blades too.
Yeah,
there was
it makes
the clones weird scene where they cut the lights off and they were fucking having a light show.
Oh my god, yeah, the rave. Oh my god. I used to think that was like the coolest shit ever, and then I got older and looked at it. I was like, what the hell was I thinking?
What the fuck are they doing?
Headache.
They just had a fucking rave in the middle of a fight. Jesus Christ.
All right. Well, now I have to make an edit with like Sandstorm playing or something.
Please.
Oh
my god.
The Jedi Ninja says it's a book fight between Darth Bane and Kasim, who is this Twi'lek who trains him in the art of lightsaber fighting. And this fight is so cool because Bane fights, single-bladed, with a curved hilt, right? So he gets at the angles, and Kasim, like he trained him between, single saber or staff saber, and so Kasim teaches him like this is how you beat a staff. It looks like there's two blades, right? But if you know where one is, you always know where the other is. And so he like helps Bane and all the stuff, and then they go to fight, and he twists it, and he fights with two, and Bane's like, "What? You never taught us anything about you can do that?" and because he was like, "Yeah, I didn't teach any of you guys this for a reason. Let's go to work." And it's just a great fight. If you haven't read the Darth Bane trilogy, I highly recommend it. It's my favorite thing in the expanded universe. But also I want to say about the Force Awakens fight is the villains in Star Wars always have such a unique silhouette that you can always see, right? When it's Vader. Even Anakin has his own aura with how he stands and how he does things, and I just loved to see that carry over. I mean, sometimes Kylo Ren kind of walks like a weeble wobble, but
he walked like Donald Duck. He walked like you ever Donald Duck get mad and he stomp? That's Kylo.
Yeah, but it works. It works. And
it does work.
I love it for him. All right, that's our number threes. How about the number twos?
Number two for
whoever.
Whoever. Go for it.
Go for it.
Number two for me will be Malgus. The Old Republic trailer, where he attacks the Jedi Temple. I forgot the name of the master he fights, but that scene lives rent free in my mind daily.
That's
daily.
That's Venzalo. That's actually the name. Like that's what I'm named my handle after. Actually,
legit. That scene. Like whoever choreographed it for the animation, you could tell that they had the characters read each other's movements a couple steps ahead. Like Malgus throws it, and the guy starts his butterfly before Malgus throws his saber. You can see the anticipation of him reading that movement, being able to get his legs up over before he basically gets his body sliced in half. Like I was like, that is seamless. That is seamless. Whoever thought of that choreography.
And also, so that scene also happens inside of the book Deceived, which it's just a Malgus book. It's just Malgus.
It's so good.
Great book, and it has that fight in it, so it's telling you their thought processes during the entire fight, and how he ended up beating him with that last little feint, and how. This whole time they're having like a peace treaty on Alderaan. Don't trust the Sith. How about you, Mark?
Oh, okay. So for me, number one and number two are, you could pick either one of them. for either spot. But I do want to bring up, the Obi-Wan and Anakin fight. I know we were making some fun of it, but from a choreography perspective, I'm telling you guys, like, I have tried to come up with my own stuff, and I'm always like, man, Anakin already did this. Even in that fight you're talking about with Gonzalo, they had this block, like one of the coolest parts of the fight, and I lifted it in a thing we did at a show. Is like the block behind the back where he stops it and spins around and does things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Anakin does that. He did that years before that trailer ever happened. And I didn't even know that. I didn't even know it until I went back and looked at it. I'm like, just everything is in that fight already. Everything Star Wars is in that fight.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. And I have that at number 2 for me.
Yeah. And to be clear, even the things that I clown on, I love, because like none of it is perfect, and I see.
Well, that's Star Wars, though. That's Star Wars. If there's not something to clown on, then it ain't fun.
Exactly, and that's my perspective. Sometimes I'll have people be like, "Oh, don't be a shell. Like, you can't like everything." You're like, "No, I see the problems. I just don't care."
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Yeah, it looks weird when they kick each other, like they're just running it into each other's feet. That thing is super weird. Am I right?
Yeah.
But like, I don't care.
When we do our fight practice all the time, like my guy throws that kick all the time. That stupid front kick that Obi-Wan.
That clothesline, yeah.
Now, I just gotta say the worst kick, though, in my opinion, in all Star Wars, is Dooku's back kick to Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He walked across the room, though.
He looks so fancy doing it, and it's like a little like. It's like when you kiss a girl and her leg goes up. That's what he does, and he hits Obi-Wan with it. You're like, I don't know.
Yeah. What the fuck was that about?
It's a force kick. It's a force kick. It's force push, but with his feet.
How about you, Ben?
So my number 2, similar to Akula from the Old Republic, it's with Cal Dark and Satil Shan versus Malgus and I forgot his partner's name, or his master's name. Mm-hmm. But like they're basically on the station. Yeah, basically. And then like the four of them just go at each other. That's also the first time I've seen a light side user like utilize a saber staff. So that was very interesting to me. And then
and single saber at the same time.
Yeah. I was gonna come to that. And then like using all 3 blades against the 2 Sith, and he downed 1. Like that was just insane to me. The only other time I've seen that was, or anything close to that, was like with a Gandalf in like the 3rd Lord of the Rings movie, and that's just for like half a scene. Yeah. And then my second one that shares that spot is actually with Obi-Wan and Maul in Rebels, because to me that duel is very different, because it doesn't start off with them like igniting their sabers. It just starts off with them talking to each other, and then basically like Maul's just trying to pick at him, see like what the hell he's doing there, and then he finally lands on it, and then Obi-Wan like turns to like the last resort and just ignites his blade. And then the fight itself with the sabers is just very reminiscent of like samurai duels that I studied back in school, like middle school. And then so like, because like they normally don't last very long. They're like 2-3 strikes and one opponent's already down. So I was like, it was actually very refreshing to see like a non-flashy duel happen in front of you so fast also. So I was like, nice. So yeah, it's like Star Wars doesn't have to be flashy.
You said they start by talking, right? Yeah. What a lot of people don't talk about with that fight is that they actually talk after. Maul dies in his arms, and they talk about the Chosen One. And I think that's actually probably the most important part of that whole scene that nobody talks about.
For sure. Yeah, agreed.
That's the conflict resolution that you have. Maul's whole life has been going after this man. And then here he is dying in his arms, and he's just like, oh.
Yeah.
He's dying in his arms, and Obi-Wan's like, if you had hit him with your speeder.
So let's talk about that real quick, though. How about Darth Maul just cruising in the desert, just like sees a kid, like, I'm going to get him. Like, you didn't need to know this.
Violent
Like
video
something.
games, man. Violent video games.
Oh,
I blame
man.
Grand Theft Auto.
Oh my God.
One of them, and I also have a really hard time like numbering these, and also I'm also trying to fill in the gaps because some of the ones you guys have mentioned are my favorites. So, but the one thing that we've never seen anything like this was Sidious versus Maul and Safajo Press. The movements of Darth Sidious were so like vicious and like ravaging, like it's
Inhuman. It's
Yeah.
inhuman.
Yeah.
and you're just like, oh, this guy is like, he's gross is how if it makes you
Right.
feel, but like
Yeah.
and how happy he is when he like stabs Savage with both of his blades, and
He just dunks on Savage, man. He just absolutely
Mhm.
dunks on him.
He knew it. He knew he was the weaker opponent. He just kept going after him.
Yeah.
That was like, wow.
can we take a moment for Savage, because that
Hey.
guy,
Yeah, for real. I
That guy
Hard
got-
time.
the crap
Couldn't
end
catch a break.
of
Couldn't catch a break.
especially like he's teaming up with Asajj to fight Dooku,
Vindicate,
and he
thank
keeps
you.
getting electrocuted, and he's like, no one will tell me how to stop this. Why won't you guys help me?
Oh my God.
Oh man, we got to pour one out for him. That was unfortunate.
Facts. Oh my God.
And then also up here in the chat, where was it? The season 7 fight with Ahsoka and Maul was also brought up, where they had the partial Mo capture, which is an amazing fight. I actually think a lot of unpopular opinion, but after Disney bought Star Wars, a lot of those fights are really, really cool. If you think of the animated fights from all the ones after the original stuff from the Old Republic was falls under Disney. Clone Wars season 6 and 7, all of Rebels, and some of those fights are just like really, really. I also got to shout out the Obi-Wan and Anakin versus Dooku in season 6 of the Clone Wars.
Solid.
Yes.
Where he's like spinning. He's forcing Anakin to fight on defense while he's
Obi-Wan's
forcing
on
Obi-Wan to fight on offense. Like it's so cool. But yeah, how about that's just exactly what Jamie was saying. Yeah. All right, we're at the number 1 spot. What do you guys got?
I want to go because that actually ties into my number 1 kind of. I want to talk about Ray Park for a minute. My number 1 is Duel of the Fates. I'm telling you guys, because like before episode 1, I did not care about lightsabers. I didn't care about none of that stuff. I wanted to fly the TIE fighter. That's what I wanted to do. And then I watched episode 1, and then every stick was a lightsaber. Everything was, I wanted to be Darth Maul. That's all I wanted to do after that. That's why I'm like, I make 9-year-old me happy with the stuff that I do. But that fight, I'm telling you guys, like if you watch the behind the scenes stuff, the stuff they didn't even use, like when he was training with Nick Gillard, when Ray was, that man is so intense. It's wild. Like look at that fight. Ewan McGregor. I'm not even talking Obi and Maul. We're talking Ewan and Ray. That man's fighting for his life. When he's
literally.
Ray is hitting 4 beats a second on this thing, and they're tearing up the tools that they're using to train with. Like Ray is just a wild man. He's swinging with power and speed, and he's doing the acrobatic stuff. He's literally changing the game in that one movie. And I don't care what anybody tries to tell me about. Like I learned some of the fight. We used some of the fights for our show stuff, and yeah, his back's turned and he's doing stupid stuff, but it is what it is. It's a movie, suspension of disbelief. But exactly. Ray himself is an absolute monster. And seeing him at his age come back and do the mocap for the fight you were talking about, that is just it. And he has so many unique things. He's doing the skip thing where he's throwing the overhead with it. He's got so many cool little things he works into that fight. And it's just that man, I wish he could get his shit together because like he needs to not open his mouth. It's the truth. He needs to control himself on social media. He's one of my heroes, but I hate hearing some of the stuff going on with him on social media. I'd love to see him get it together and be able to like be a part of Star Wars like he should be. You know?
Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah.
I love it. I mean, no, that fight is so fast and intense that, it's hard to beat it. I always say that has like the tightest choreography in Star Wars.
It's a long fight too. You're not even seeing half of it because like there's stuff that on the cutting room floor I can't even imagine. I was saying though, I don't want to take over, but like they had stuff with him training with Nick Gillard or whoever the first stunt double for Kenobi was going to be, and he doesn't have the double-sided saber. He has a single blade, and I'm lifting all of this for when we do stage stuff because it's so good. It's some of the best single blade like stuff that I've seen. And it's not even in the movie. It's just before they started shooting.
And you mentioned music. We gotta.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
That's the track.
And any duel is exponentially better when John Williams is behind it.
Every saber in that fight makes a different noise. They all have independent hums and swings and ignitions and all that cool stuff, all that nerd stuff. You know, it's all there. And then the track ties into it, and it's art, man. It is. It's got its little goofy moments, but for the most part, it's that's number one. It's in its own league, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. How about y'all? Number one.
I gotta go with number one is Ahsoka and Maul on Mandalore. For me to watch basically a battle of wills, and in that moment, Maul's will is actually stronger than Ahsoka's, but of course we know Maul can't win. But to watch Ahsoka fight, and she's keeping this confident, this confident scowl, but there's you can actually see in certain cuts of the scene where it's like she's fighting for her life. Like she's like, wait, this fucker's actually pretty good. Like, and I loved it. I love watching Maul's arrogance get the best of him this time. Like again, like it gets him every time, but this time it was like. It was different because this, in my opinion, this was the start of the refined version of Maul, where he's still the arrogant asshole, but he's maturing a little bit. Like and I love I don't know, that duel is going to stick out in my mind, especially knowing that it was mocap and Ray Park wasn't part of it. Yeah, that's my number one.
You know, I don't want to sit here and harp on Ray Park. The whoever he was working with in that scene, the two saber choreography for that scene is absolutely mad. That's got to be some of the hardest choreography I've ever even attempted to do. That's why I don't post it, because I can't do it.
Awesome. How about you, Vet?
No, I'm in the same boat as like the Ray Park Mall hype train, because both fights you guys mentioned do tie in as my number one. I was trying to think of a third one to put up there, but like I'm blanking right now. But yeah, just like I said, just Ray Park and like all his shit that he's done for Star Wars, changing the game and all that, and then doing mocap again for season 7. It was just like personal fan service for me, because like nostalgia for me was like all there. And then like I remember like watching it the first time, I figured it was mocap like right after I saw the kick, and I was like, that was too clean. There's no way they could have done that just by like animation alone. So yeah. I had a suspicion that was him in there, which was awesome to find out afterwards.
Go watch them in the mocap suits, man. Like look it up and watch them in the mocap suits. It's wild.
Yeah.
The early choreography for the Clone Wars is very, like, it's odd. Like there's like enormous swings and then like and pauses. You know,
it's like very Samurai static. Jack, yeah.
Y'all watch Samurai Jack? It's similar to like that. It's got that where they'll have the clash and then like the big sweep and it's really fast and then it's just cutting to the motions. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let's see here. Jamie says popular opinion, but my number one is definitely Luke versus Vader, Return of the Jedi.
Solid.
Can't go wrong.
And I'm calling out Luke versus Kylo as well, which love both of those.
Those are both two good story fights.
Yeah.
Very good story.
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes to story, I think these two, right, battle the heroes. And especially for me, my number one is Empire Strikes Back, Luke versus Vader. Yeah, Luke gets mollywopped that entire time. Vader, pulls a Kobe Bryant where he's like, "All right, you had a good game, right? You had a good game. Okay. All right, here's 40 points. It's the last quarter. You can't do that." I just like, shut up. But the story, the intimacy in that fight, we have this big broad room, and Luke's coming in there with confidence, and then you see it. He starts styling on him, with he sprays him with the mist and then backflips off of it. He's doing little twirls in there that are meaningless. But as they fight, their arena gets smaller and smaller and smaller, and then they're on the bridge, and then he's at the last bit, and just like the weight of this reveal, he's coming there to save his friends. He's coming there to avenge his father, and as this reality is setting in that this is not going to go the way you think, and the world is closing in around him, he gets the ground shaking news. I just love how that all played out in the film. And so for me, that still gives me chills, even though it's not the best when it comes to choreography. I love it.
The choreography for that one is not bad. It's not. It's really not. Like, you have to look at like what Vader's doing in that fight, though. They got like a champion fencer doing the fight for that, and it's very thought out what's happening there. Whether it's maybe not the most fancy thing, but it is part of the storytelling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Also, a brief shout out to the novelization version of Obi-Wan and Anakin versus Dooku on the Invisible Hand. I very much dislike the movie version. At least the first half of it is just funky to me.
Hey, no. Anakin and Dooku, when it gets down to the two of them, that is some of the most
good.
solid performing
Mhm.
Hayden Christensen did.
That is great.
Facts, yeah.
The part before that, like how
Yeah.
casually he Obi-Wan runs up and chops the B2 in half, and then he gets absolutely crushed by the thing. Like, he has no legs at that point. There's no way he has legs. And then he
He
walks
just gently
off.
falls on his legs.
Yeah. But in the novelization by Matthew Stover, the fight is incredible because they are pulling a feint on him. And at one point, Dooku's like, "Oh man, these guys haven't improved at all. Like, I got this." And then all of a sudden, they pull a Rock Lee dropping the weights. He's literally, he's like holding off Anakin, and then all of a sudden Anakin launches straight up, and Obi-Wan is already there where Anakin just was coming for attack, and he's like, "Holy crap!" And then both of them switch fighting styles, and we're like, and just start going ham on them. Like, in the novelization, it's such a beautiful fight. I recommend checking that out. All right, so we're nearing the end of the show. There's one last fight I want to get your guys' opinion on. It wasn't really a fight, but Obi-Wan, when he fought Vader, and Vader was, pulling some shadow step, and what did you guys think of that fight?
I loved it. You see a broken man, unsure of himself, in a duel where he's emotionally conflicted, confused, because basically his brother/son student is back from the dead, and he is a mean son of a bitch, and apparently has super speed, and and you can tell that Vader can sense it. He's just pummeling him. It was an amazing story fight. I think I caught like one or two like kind of mistakes, but for the most part, for me, it was an amazing story fight. And I love the way it played out.
Yeah.
And Vader is such a dramatic bitch.
He has a kill switch on breathing, so he can be Make more dramatic.
He just flipped the switch.
Yeah.
Oh,
How about you guys? What did you think of it?
So the thing, my favorite part about that fight that like I have pop up in my head is Obi-Wan like struggling to turn the lightsaber on in the dark, and then it's just like he got that new NeoPixel going on, and it's just bright blue everywhere, and like it looks like I shot this in my yard. I'm not trying to throw shade at it, but it looks like something I shot in the yard, But it's real though, because it's got the shaky camera, and you can feel his fear. You know what I mean? He's afraid, and it's just all you can see is blue. You don't know what's going on, and then there he is. Then there's Vader right there, and then shit's on fire, and next thing you know, he's on fire. Like it's wow.
And something that's completely underrated that people don't talk about anywhere near enough is how confidence affects your ability to fight, to duel, in any of these actions. Confidence is, in a lot of cases, more important,
Yeah.
So you don't get put on the back foot. Yeah. And that,
and if anything, any kind of performing, whether it's fighting somebody or, even when we do like stage stuff, I go into doing stage stuff and I never think about failing. I only think about succeeding. I only think about how well I'm going to do. If I go up there and I'm fumbling around trying to turn my shit on like Obi-Wan was, I'm going to go there. I'm a bad time. I'm going to catch on fire like he did.
Legit.
Yeah, he got roasted for sure. How about you, Ben? What did you think of it? I don't know if you're saying anything and you're muted. Okay. I was like,
is that any better?
Yeah.
Yes.
much better.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, so my favorite part was like how it captured like Obi-Wan. It put us in Obi-Wan's like shoes and like made us feel like his fear and everything throughout the whole fight. It's like basically like that scene is like as if was like it's like someone told you the boogeyman wasn't real, and then you find out he is actually, and he's your freaking drama major friend who's in like critical care, turning off his life support suit to get the jump on you.
No, so that's the thing we're not talking about though, is that like he realizes that it's him. Like what? Like not even seconds. I don't know how much time before it happens. So like there's the fear of just realizing that this is Anakin.
Yeah,
it has to set in.
And then I also liked how like the fight itself, like it shows like Akula said, like Obi-Wan is broken. I really like how it doesn't show him as like the great Jedi Master that like we knew him as. Right. So like it's like it gives like a sense of realism, which they're capturing very well for me. And like because I know like a lot of like movies or shows don't really do that. They kind of like toss that narrative to the side at the like just to have like a cool like fight scene at the expense of like the story itself. So like that's what I really like about it the most.
Absolutely. All right. Awesome. Well, this has been a great conversation. I appreciate hanging out with y'all. It's been a lot of fun. Let's go around one last time. If you have any closing thoughts, honorable mentions, and once again, let people know where they can find you and your amazing content. We'll start with Ven.
So you can find me mostly on TikTok. I'm also trying to get up my Twitter and Instagram going on as well. They're all under the same handle, Ven_Skywalker. And closing thoughts, head empty, just lightsabers right now.
that's a mood for sure. Mark?
What you said something about honorable mentions, yeah. As far as my favorite duels or whatever, I'm gonna throw one out. I really like the first fight between the Inquisitor and Kanan, where the Inquisitor's just like talking shit to him the whole time, and he was like, "You trained with Master such and such, and you are favoring Form 3." And he's just like shitting on this man, and I love it. It's great. that's what I do. Like when we do our live shows, like I talk a bunch of shit to the crowd and to whoever I'm working with. Like it's all a lot of fun, and I love that.
10 out of 10 banter, yeah.
But social media, like I do TikTok, I do Instagram. Mark does things. It's on everything. That's it, really. I don't have much else going on.
Awesome. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming out here. And last but not least, Akula.
All right. So I got two last thoughts. Number one, Yoda showing up to fight Dooku is vastly underrated. Vastly underrated, and I don't know why people hate it so much. I love seeing that green puppet kick a little bit of ass. It was my first time seeing it, and I was like 14 years old, and I absolutely fucking loved it. Fuck y'all.
They foreshadow it though in the movie. That's the best part. It's like in the beginning of the movie, they're talking about how Yoda's I'm better than Master Yoda is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
That's my favorite part.
Watch him toss the cane to the side, open up his fucking flap, and I was like, "Oh yes, oh yeah, I loved it." Number two, my face is glued, waiting for when they release Reva's lightsaber. I'm going to drop a ridiculous amount of money on it. I can feel it in my soul.
Me both.
And yeah, so you guys can find me on TikTok primarily, Inquisitor_Kula. Come find me.
Awesome. Yeah. I will do one last honorable mention as well, and that is going to be it's an extended fight. Rebels, when the Inquisitors were trying to take the children, and they're fighting Ezra and Kanan and backing them up. The doors open and Ahsoka steps up,
Yes.
and you're like, okay, because we haven't seen what would a Clone Wars era fighter look like now, and then we see it. Kanan's like, we need to get back there and help her. And he's like, no, man. She's
She's good. Got it.
She's got it.
Yeah, she's good.
You're talking about the Clone Wars era fighters fighting. Like it happens later too when Maul makes his first appearance, like where he's fighting. There's 3 Inquisitors, and they're like, "Oh, I got help," and like Maul just fights all 3 of them by himself, and Kanan and Ezra are just like, "Well, damn."
What now?
Yeah, no, that's so true. Oh God, Maul has just become such a cool character, and I love, obviously we know Maul can never win, and that's his thing, and that's why I love his last fight with Obi-Wan so much, because I think he knows, and he's like, just end it, man. I'm so tired. I am so tired.
He looks tired, but he didn't touch it too. He really does.
That's why I keep telling people, like, I hear people like they always want to see Maul again. I'm like, let the man rest. He can't win. He's tired of losing. Is he gonna get cut in half again? Probably.
he earned it. He earned his rest.
Yes.
But awesome. Thank you guys so much for coming out. This has been a blast. I will have all of you guys on again at some point in time. So let me know your other favorite topics of interest, so I know when to invite you back on. But for everyone watching, thank you for hanging out in the chat, or anyone watching this in the future. Appreciate all the support, and may the Force be with you.